I was sipping my coffee, thinking it was another ordinary day, when I spotted him across the cafe. The look in his eyes was strange, distant. I saw his hand reach for something shiny and realized it was a necklace. He passed it to the elegant woman beside him. My heart sank. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, maybe a friendly gesture. But she laughed, touched his arm. Whispers began to haunt me. The cafe's ambiance seemed to wrap tight around me, suffocating. I couldn't shake the feeling something was deeply wrong. She seemed too comfortable with him. I decided to leave, trying to ignore my racing heart. Stepping outside, the cold air hit me, clearing my thoughts a bit. I needed to breathe. I walked aimlessly down the street, clutching my phone in my pocket. Thoughts raced through my mind. I couldn't help but feel betrayed. Calling my best friend seemed the only option. Her voice was comforting and tactile through my phone speaker as I poured my heart out to her. She told me to confront him, said it was better to know than stew in silence. Her advice struck real but terrifying. Truths always hurt. I returned to my place, the familiar shivers of my apartment walls enveloping me. It felt like the calm before a storm I didn't want to face. I called him, my fingers trembling as they dialed his number. The ringing was relentless, echoing against my heartbeats like a countdown. He picked up, and I confronted him about the necklace. His response was flat, completely dismissive, turning my world upside down in seconds. I couldn't believe it. His nonchalant attitude crushed me. Every moment felt surreal, like watching my life unravel through distorted lenses. My best friend arrived later. Her presence was a balm, soothing me with laughter and shared memories as I tried to make sense of it all. We reflected on good times, remembering that I had once believed in him. A nostalgic comfort embraced the room, reminding me what real connections felt like. I eventually accepted that I'd been living a lie, carved by my own trust and his deception. Releasing my anger felt liberating. I found a glimmer of hope in deciding to start over. Rebirth in this broken world I knew seemed daunting but promising. A new morning promised fresh beginnings. The city called softly in its dawn whispers, and I felt a hesitant smile creep up. I realized strength was in embracing change, even if it shattered perspectives. I no longer felt tied to that past, ready for what's next. Walking through the city streets, I let the wind whisper new secrets into my ears, ready to rewrite my story on blank pages. I found peace in unexpected corners, learned to savor moments that weren't tethered to anyone else's promises, but my own. Then, surprisingly, amidst everyday chaos, laughter bubbled up from strangers around me. It reminded me of life's continuity, even after disruption. I decided this was my chance to explore, let curiosity be my guide now that certainty had been stripped away. Breaking routine felt liberating. I roamed through different parks, letting nature's whispers hug my strained memories. New interactions sparked unexpected joy, healing the wounds I thought would remain. The world felt vast and welcoming. Sitting at that same cafe one evening, I finally felt at home in myself. An ordinary life, resilient enough to evolve despite betrayal. Looking back, the shattered pieces formed a new mosaic. Life resumed its pace, and I felt stronger every time I acknowledged the cracks. I realized I'll always carry the weight of that day, but now it feels lighter, transformed into wings pushing me forward. There's a beauty in reconstruction. Certain truths can't penetrate my newfound armor. I stand amidst uncertainty with a resilient heart. I learned to appreciate the unpredictable mosaics fate builds. An ordinary life, marred but brilliant, sprawling beyond those cafe walls. Embracing change, I began weaving new stories, letting destiny unravel and craft from now onward. At peace, finally, with this imperfect journey. I noticed my boyfriend, a man in his late 20s with curly black hair, looking increasingly distant over breakfast, his eyes avoiding mine. Something felt off. During a lunch with friends, I overheard a strange comment. My friend, a woman in her early 30s with long blonde hair, mentioned someone like him having plans I wasn't aware of. I felt a tightening in my chest as I secretly glanced at the texts he was receiving, which seemed far too frequent and secretive. That evening, as we sat watching TV, a notification flashed on his screen, making him tense. My heart dropped, noticing his sudden unease. Later, he left the room abruptly, phone clutched tightly. I felt compelled to follow, hiding my racing suspicion. I stood quietly behind the door, listening as he spoke softly, uncertain words reaching my ears, unraveling secrets I feared. His conversation was unclear, but fragments about leaving, starting anew, sent chills down my spine as pieces fit together. Back in the living room, I forced a smile, hiding the storm inside. His expression hinted he knew something was amiss. Days passed with growing silence between us, each morning an echo of tension, till I decided to confront him about my uneasiness. "I've noticed you've been distant," I said slowly, watching his face closely for any sign, attempting to bridge the growing gap. He hesitated before speaking, revealing plans for a potential new job that might require relocation, his eyes pleading for understanding. Shocked, I took a step back, realizing the secrecy wasn't personal betrayal, but fear of our shared uncertainty. I sat at our dining table reflecting. Maybe it was our last breakfast shared, amidst carefree laughter and lingering warmth. The weight of unchosen revelations felt heavy, as I considered what this new path meant for us both. I joined him in the living room, heart racing, ready to speak my mind through the days of unexpected change. "Are you seriously considering it?" I asked with disbelief, wanting clarity, needing to understand his viewpoint. His nod confirmed it, explaining the opportunity's life-changing potential. It felt like a crossroads, fate laying options bare. Tears welled up unexpectedly as I realized how fiercely I feared losing him. Our lives seemed intertwined, yet fragile. We sat silently, absorbing the weight of choices, wrapped in a hug that felt like both comfort and an impending farewell. "I want you to be happy," I whispered, even if happiness meant moving forward separately, my heart yearning for time to pause. Days felt like endless sunsets, casting long shadows of uncertainty over us. I started documenting my thoughts, hoping for clarity. While jogging through untouched paths, reflections on choice versus necessity swirled. Life felt fleeting, yet critical decisions loomed. In a moment of clarity, I realized that sometimes love means letting go, allowing him the freedom to choose his own path. As we sat together on our front porch, nostalgia filled the air, knowing this might be our last sunset shared on this bench. His fingers intertwined with mine, saying everything without words, both of us treasuring every shared breath, moment stilled in time. I knew we'd always cherish these moments, yet an underlying dread of facing tomorrow's unknowns lingered. Later, alone in my room, I gripped the edge of my desk, letting the tears fall, each drop laden with memories. That night, the weight of silence pressed heavily as I tried to fall asleep, thoughts weaving between grief and the hint of hope. He decided to go. I watched him pack with mixed emotions. His dream felt both a liberation and a tether pulling us apart. As we stood by the door, I held him one last time, whispering farewell, hoping our paths might cross again someday. I never thought I'd see her like that. It felt surreal watching my girlfriend laughing with him in the park, like I was invisible. She looked so carefree, tossing her hair in the wind. I tried to convince myself it was nothing but had a pit in my stomach. I couldn't move from my spot. the confusion was settling in, a mix of anger and denial that kept me rooted there, watching. I remembered our last conversation, her reassuring words about wanting only me. It didn't match this reality unfolding before my eyes. My heart thudded painfully. She glanced his way and laughed genuinely. I wanted to believe it was innocent, but doubt crept in. Back home, everything felt distant. Her texts were sweet, yet I couldn't shake the scenes replaying in my mind. I sat on the couch, trying to find comfort in familiar surroundings, but the shadows felt different, encroaching. I tried calling her, desperately wanting to hear her voice and reassurance, but each unanswered ring amplified my anxiety. Night came swiftly, casting shadows through the blinds. I kept staring at our framed picture, searching for answers. I had to face it. My gut wouldn't leave me alone. I decided to talk, but my heart feared confrontation. Calling her felt daunting, but I pushed through, finally dialing her number. "We need to talk," I said, heart pounding. Her voice was calm, too calm. She agreed to meet at our usual spot, hiding any hints of trouble. I arrived early. The cafe felt unwelcoming tonight. A chill crept over me as I anticipated confronting the situation. There she was, stepping in with her usual warmth. My heart knew things had changed, but it defied my senses. We sat facing each other, an invisible wall between us. Her eyes held something, a hint she couldn't completely hide. I directly asked about him. She hesitated before explaining, claiming they were just friends. Her voice faltered slightly. Her words felt rehearsed, each explanation packing layers of doubt. I stared hard, wanting to believe, but feeling conflicted. My heart battled my mind. I forced a smile, trying to digest her reassurances. They tasted off, like a bitter pill. I decided to drop the topic, wanting to preserve peace, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Changing the subject seemed like a relief, but left an underlying tension. Her laughter sounded hollow, unlike before. We left separately, the air colder than usual. Her goodbye lingered in my mind, ringing with insincerity. Alone now, I replayed the day over and over in my mind, desperate for signs I might have missed. A sudden memory of her soft kisses brought unexpected tears. I felt a mix of yearning and betrayal, struggling with disbelief. I found myself at the verge of collapsing, overwhelmed. The hope that everything was okay was slowly eroding. Lost in thought, I texted her, desperate for more clarity. Each keystroke felt agonizing as I waited for a response. Her reply was brief, almost dismissive. It sliced through my hope, leaving a distinct void. I bolted upright, adrenaline pushing me. I couldn't sit idle. I decided I had to find out more. I drove through the night, seeking answers. Each street felt longer, stretching the anticipation. Confronting my disbelief fueled my drive. Yet, fear gnawed at me, uncertain of what I'd uncover. Finally, at her place, I hesitated at the door. My heart raced, knowing this would change everything. I remember waiting at the cafe, hoping he'd show up with good news. My heart raced. Each tick of the wall clock felt like eternity. Suddenly, he arrived looking shattered. His face told me everything wasn't all right. My heart sank deeper as he approached slowly. He slumped into the seat, each movement heavy like carrying 1,000 worries. He didn't need words. The silence screamed truths I dreaded. I listened with bated breath as he explained the chaos at work, the pressures swallowing him whole. His voice cracked under the weight. I tried comforting him, saying all those cliché things people say, yet they felt empty, like tossing pebbles into an endless void. He looked up with a hopeless glance. His eyes mirrored a deep abyss I couldn't reach. I felt like I was failing him. My coffee turned cold as he spoke about needing space, something I hadn't expected. I felt the floor give way beneath my feet. An unexpected silence filled the air, contrasting the bustling cafe. I sat there unmoving as he left, the door swinging closed behind. I wandered the streets later, the world blurred past with indifferent urgency. My mind buzzed, replaying every word, searching for meaning. At home, exhaustion took over, yet sleep was elusive. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thoughts swirling like a restless storm. Days blurred together as I waited for clarity that never came. Each moment felt suspended in a foggy limbo, without direction or end. A surprise phone call shook me from my stupor. Her voice was unfamiliar, yet comforting, offering unexpected advice on moving forward. She urged me to pursue my passion, something I had neglected amidst the chaos. Memory of forgotten dreams sparked a faint smile. Renewed energy seeped back into me slowly. I found myself sketching again. Pencil in hand felt like meeting an old friend after years. I sat by the window, letting inspiration pour through the glass like morning sunlight. Life began filling my canvas with vivid colour again. A soft knock interrupted the serenity. I opened the door hesitantly, greeted by her gentle eyes, offering friendship unexpectedly. We spent hours talking, everything feeling less alone than it did before. Her laughter was infectious, a reminder life could be carefree again. I discovered peace in someone who understood me. Her advice echoed like a healing tune, guiding me softly back to my own path. Her words sparked a courage I thought lost. I decided to call him, not for reconciliation, but closure I desperately needed. Heart pounding, I finally reached him. I spoke my truth, realizing bitterness had dissipated. I felt lighter, freer somehow. We agreed to meet briefly, both seeking peace and clarity. I anticipated our talk with newfound resilience and hope. Sitting across the cafe table again, I felt different, stronger. We exchanged words that soothed old wounds, leaving room for healing. We parted with a gentle understanding, an invisible bridge spanning doubts. The threshold had been crossed into untapped calm. In the weeks following, my heart learned a new rhythm, welcoming its solitude in a different way. The thread of past pain began unraveling. Art became therapy. Creation flourished within the newfound calm. Canvas by canvas, I translated dawns of hope and dusks of liberation. I embraced solitude finely woven like a tapestry, learned the music of quiet and stillness. It was less about what had gone and more about what remained. Her visits continued. She felt like a beacon amid occasional haze. Together, we built stories layered with laughter, shared seamlessly. Slowly, the old threads connected to new ones, forming something unexpected. Life began feeling lighter, albeit strangely whole, wound into unknown beauty. I stood in front of my artwork displayed, strangers surrounded by their stories, completing the circle of shared humanity. I felt seen. Revenge wasn't about someone else anymore. It was reclaiming strength and self. Crossing the threshold was more freeing than I imagined. I remember standing in the kitchen, mixing dough, as my husband in his early 30s, angular face with distracted eyes, short black hair, entered. He was wearing a crisp blue shirt, looking uneasy. He mumbled something about needing space. His words were like a puzzle I couldn't solve. Each piece left me more confused. I stopped mixing, my heart racing. It felt like an omen. After he walked out, I sat down, staring blankly at the untouched dough. It felt like the room was wrapped in silence, an oppressive quiet that pressed against my chest. Later, my best friend in her late 20s, round face with empathetic eyes, curly blonde hair, entered the kitchen. She wore a casual green sweater, looking concerned but comforting. "He's been distant for weeks," I confessed, feeling the lump in my throat swell with every word. Her arms enveloped me, and suddenly my shield cracked, letting vulnerability burst through. Days passed where I felt like a ghost in my own home. Never in our bedroom, just pacing the living room, trying to piece together our broken past and make sense of his words. He returned one evening, again in that crisp blue shirt as if time hadn't moved. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, an invisible wall between us. His words felt rehearsed. "I have feelings for someone else," he finally admitted. Each syllable tore at my chest. The heaviness nearly knocked the wind out of me. I felt isolated, even when mere feet apart. I retreated to our bedroom, haunted by echoes of a life we were supposed to build together. The walls felt closer, the room colder, like a sarcophagus holding my forgotten dreams. Unexpectedly, a text notification illuminated my silent phone. It was her, the woman from his confession. I never saw it coming. The nerve, the boldness, seeing her name felt surreal. The message said, "Please understand, it just happened." I couldn't comprehend the audacity. My heart swelled with anger, my soul twisted with betrayal. It felt like my world was crumbling. At dinner, I confronted him. The air felt thick and my anger bubbled over. I spoke loud enough for truth to shatter the facade we'd been pretending was normal. He tried to reason, rationalize. Each excuse felt hollow, just echoes in an empty room. His eyes pleaded, but my heart had already set sail to another isle far away. I left the table, needing air. Outside, the night's chill hit me, snapping me awake from this nightmare. Stars glimmered above as if mocking my voiceless pain in their eternal silence. I curled up on the couch, wrapped in an old blanket. The echoes of us, our laughter, whispered through the fabric. It was hauntingly comforting, reminding me of better times. Time inched forward, but I remained stationary, trapped in those moments. I made coffee to distract myself, the aroma filling the air but failing to startle me from my waking dream. Our friends noticed, the silence, the fade in our once bright love. They tactfully held their words, yet their eyes spoke volumes every time we met, asking questions without voices. He suggested counselling, hoping genuine voices could bridge our gap. Hesitant but willing, I agreed. Maybe, beneath layers of hurt, we could find mutual ground again. The counsellor, a woman in her 40s, oval face with wise eyes, short grey hair, suggested exercises to rediscover compassion. It was jarring, attempting to rekindle what felt long gone. We spent hours revealing hidden truths, painful admissions and unvoiced fears. Each session peeled back layers, exposing raw vulnerability, hinting at a possible future, albeit cautiously. I took a walk alone, thinking about us, the dreams yet unfulfilled, the promises lingering in the air. The street was quiet, evening lamps casting golden pools of light. Suddenly, a familiar voice called my name. It was an old friend in her late 20s, square face with cheerful eyes, short red hair, wearing a casual jacket, reminding me of happier days. We sat at a park bench, our laughter mingling with rustling leaves. For a brief moment, I forgot the pain, felt the warmth of friendship, a glimpse into the healing future. Returning home, I found him waiting, vulnerability written across his face. His apology was genuine, a surprising twist that opened a door to understanding. Perhaps acceptance lay ahead. We decided to slow down, cherishing little moments. His quiet smile was tender, a simple gesture that spoke volumes of growth and reflection. I felt hope sparking quietly. Over dinner, laughter returned, cautiously but genuinely. We reminisced, allowing the positive memories to breathe life into the dull spaces left by hurt, crafting a new chapter silently. Days turned to weeks, and slowly, life resumed its rhythm. Trust faltered, but found footing again, not without scars, but visible signs of mending. I dared to believe in this new path. I stood by the window, sipping tea, watching him read a book. It was a quiet presence, a silent promise to continue growing, and a recognition of resilience. Looking around, I saw photographs of us, smiling, naive, unaware of the trials awaiting. They were bittersweet reminders, but also a testament to strength despite moments of fragility. As evening turned to night, I felt a wave of calm wash over me. In his gentle touch, there was an unspoken promise of healing, a vow to cherish what remains. I was sitting in my living room when I received a message that shook my world. It was a text from my boyfriend confirming he'd been lying for months. The deceit hit me hard like a punch to the gut. My mind reeled with disbelief, betrayal looming like a storm overhead. I paced about aimlessly, my heart racing with every step. His words echoed in my mind, relentless and cruel. Anger started creeping in, a fierce, all-consuming rage that demanded an outlet. I felt like I was drowning in emotions. I stormed outside, the chilly wind matching my inner turmoil. I needed to escape, but had no idea where to go. Deciding to confront him, my footsteps quickened. My mind was filled with scenarios of the confrontation ahead. I arrived at his apartment doorstep, hesitating for a moment before knocking. My heart thumped loudly with anticipation. He opened the door, surprise etched onto his face. For a fleeting moment, I thought about reconciliation, but quickly dismissed it. As we spoke, tension mounted between us. His feeble excuses only fueled the fire of my fury. I couldn't believe his audacity. Suddenly, I felt overwhelmed, the anger transforming into tears. I couldn't keep it bottled up any longer, and I broke down. He tried to comfort me, placing an awkward hand on my shoulder. It only increased the wave of emotions crashing over me. With a sudden burst of clarity, I realized I needed to leave. Staying wasn't an option if I wanted to protect myself. I stepped out, the night air offering a strange sense of solace, like the world was echoing my resolve to move forward. The cityscape was indifferent to my plight, yet I found peace in its anonymity, feeling the first dose of freedom. I stopped by a late-night cafe, needing warmth and quiet. The mundane sounds of coffee being made helped soothe my stormy mind. As I returned home, I kept thinking of how things turned upside down so abruptly. Yet, here I was, still standing. Falling into bed, I felt the quiet emptiness around me. It was comforting and terrifying all at once. The morning light crept in slowly. It was a new day, a chance to gather my strength and rebuild what was shattered. I spent the next few days rearranging things in the apartment, trying to make it feel like mine again. A friend visited, bringing much-needed laughter and distraction. We talked for hours, each word helping me heal. I finally found the courage to return to places I loved before. Revisiting old haunts helped me reclaim pieces of myself. In the park, I spotted a puppy playing, its boundless energy contagious. I laughed easily, surprised at the joy it brought. I realized then that life could still be bright, even after heartbreak. I'd learned that moments of pure joy are always possible. Returning home felt different. I was no longer burdened by the shadows of betrayal. I was embracing newfound strength. I spent the evening writing, letting words spill onto paper. It was cathartic, a release I desperately needed after weeks of chaos. As the days passed, I began to feel whole again. My confidence was rebuilding itself, stronger than before. I stumbled upon old photos and memorabilia, remnants of happier times. Instead of painful nostalgia, they sparked gratitude. Discovering strength I never knew I had, I started setting new goals. Life was starting to feel promising again. With a renewed sense of self, I reached out to old friends, rekindling connections that had faded. It felt liberating. I was navigating a new chapter now, grateful for the collapse that led to this freedom. Turns out, the world was still full of possibilities. I was sitting alone on the living room floor, staring at the cold TV screen, reflecting on my past choices and wondering how I got here. Outside, the rain began pouring, each drop sounding like a memory hitting the ground. I remembered how my partner's betrayal shattered my trust before. The kitchen was all too familiar with its echoes of laughter and pain. Every corner seemed to carry his voice and the fights we'd had. I found an old photograph wedged between cookbooks, showing us smiling in happier times. The image felt like a mocking testament to how things changed. After placing the photograph down, I sat by the bedroom window, rain tapping gently outside. It was here our promises were made and broken. I picked up the teacup he'd gifted me years ago and felt the cold ceramic in my hands, a symbol of the warmth we once shared. The sound of distant thunder mirrored the tumult of our past arguments. I couldn't shake off the sense of loss that permeated the room. Feeling suffocated by memories, I stepped outside into the storm. The rain soaked me instantly, washing away some of my lingering regrets. I found myself standing at the park where we had laughed many afternoons. Now, the empty benches felt like ghosts of forgotten dreams. A sudden silence enveloped the park, broken only by raindrops. In that quiet, I realized I needed to let go, for real this time. The drive home was an emotional journey, the raindrops on the windshield resembling tears. I felt a weight lift and hope fighting its way back. At home, the rain's rhythm on the roof was soothing. Sitting by the fire, warmth wrapped around me like a comforting embrace. As the fire glowed softly, memories seemed less burdensome. I accepted they shaped me, but don't define who I'll become. Days passed, and with each sunrise, clarity returned. I'd matured, learning to embrace solitude and seeing it as an opportunity for renewal. Setting aside his belongings into a storage box, I felt liberated. It was freeing to make space for something new in my life. I visited an old friend, sharing coffee and stories. It reminded me of the importance of meaningful connections and how they shape who we are. Walking through the vibrant city streets, life felt colourful again. I realised my heart was healing, and I was ready for whatever came next. Back home, I stared at a blank canvas. With each brushstroke, I painted the emotions of rebirth, capturing my newfound hope and freedom. The canvas became an expression of my soul, portraying past struggles and future possibilities. It symbolized the journey and peace I'd found. I sighed contentedly, embracing this new chapter. The baggage of old pain was now a mere whisper in the background of my vibrant life. Surprise arrived in the form of a letter from an old love, unseen for years. The words soared with nostalgia, invoking smiles and tears. Reading the letter, I found the closure I didn't know I needed. It was bittersweet, a reminder of the circle life had taken. Outside, the sun peeked through the clouds, signaling new beginnings. I felt a gentle nudge towards the future, ready to embrace whatever came next. I started a new project that aligned with my passions. Creating allowed me to channel my energies into something vibrant and lively. Even the smallest interactions felt meaningful, nurturing friendships and connections with newfound depth. Life was richer now, full of nuances I'd overlooked before. Reflecting one afternoon, I realized that strength is found in vulnerability, and that love, even lost, remains a guiding part of our story. Life's rhythm became comforting, like an old, familiar song. Challenges became surmountable, and joy felt just around every corner. Thinking back, I understood that every ending is an opportunity for a beginning. My introspection had forged a path towards resilience, Standing before the mirror, my reflection showed strength I hadn't seen before. I was grateful for every experience that brought me to this moment. With renewed vigor, I stepped into the sunlight, welcoming the embrace of a new day, carrying wisdom from past to future. I found myself sitting in my car, staring at the text messages from my partner. A whirlwind of emotions hit me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. I walked into our bedroom, the silence heavier than usual. His unmade side of the bed mirrored the chaos in my mind. I knew something had been off for weeks. Scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon photos of him and an unfamiliar woman. Their smiles felt like daggers, slicing through the trust we had built. I confronted him that evening. He sat across the table, evasive and cold. Each excuse sounded like a rehearsed script, distancing him further from the truth. His words echoed as I stormed out, leaving him in our home. I paced outside, the evening air cooling the heated anger that still lingered within me. I found solace in the park, watching the sunset. My thoughts spiraled as I questioned every moment we shared. Trust felt like a distant memory now. Days passed and my resolve hardened. His attempts to explain were static noise to my determined heart. I was ready to confront the truth head-on. I returned home one afternoon, ready to face him again. The house was eerily quiet, almost as if it was holding its breath for what was to come. As I prepared for the confrontation, I found his suspicious suitcase hidden away. My heart raced at the sight of it, confirming my worst fears. I heard his footsteps behind me. My pulse quickened. His unapologetic confidence as he entered the room felt like a slap to the face. The confrontation exploded with emotions. Voices raised, truths revealed. His admission of an affair shattered something deep within me, altering the landscape of our lives. I left the house again, this time feeling emptier than before. Anger was replaced by a haunting grief that followed me like a shadow. In a moment of clarity, I decided to reclaim my narrative. I wouldn't be the victim anymore. Strength was born from the ashes of betrayal. I pieced together the shards of my heart, focusing on moving forward. Friends offered support, their presence bringing back a sense of belonging. Returning to my routine felt liberating. I focused on work, channeling my emotions into productivity. Slowly, life regained its rhythm. I was surprised when he reached out again, claiming regret. His words felt hollow, echoing my own disbelief. Meeting him one last time, I delivered the closure we both needed. It wasn't about forgiveness, it was about finding my peace. I walked away, feeling lighter. The weight of confusion and betrayal finally lifted, leaving space for hope and rediscovery. Days turned into weeks, and my newfound independence was exhilarating. I learned to cherish solitude and find joy in my own company. Unexpectedly, I met someone new, his kindness and patience reawakening something inside me. I realized healing was possible, despite the scars. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, hours passing like minutes. There was no pressure, just a genuine connection that blossomed. I embraced the uncertainty that came with new beginnings. His sincerity was refreshing, and I found myself wanting to explore this newfound bond. As vulnerability returned, it felt like trusting again. I allowed myself to be open, steps towards healing visible with every heartbeat. I realized authentic connections don't demand perfection, but understanding. We shared stories, finding solace in our past while building a future. He introduced me to a passion I never knew existed: hiking. Nature became a retreat, a space to reflect and rejuvenate. Hiking felt liberating. Atop a summit, I gazed at the expanse below. Trails mirrored my journey. Every step brought clarity. His encouragement and presence revived an emotional strength I thought long gone. Together, we embraced life's unpredictability, finding joy in challenges. By being patient and genuine, he showed me a renewed sense of love. I discovered happiness in acceptance and letting go of past burdens. The growth we experienced together redefined what relationships meant to me. We built trust on shared adventures, making memories anew. Realizing my heart was finally at peace, I embraced this chapter. Life was unpredictable, but with him, I found the courage to live fully. I'd finally mustered the courage to confront him about the betrayal. The two of us stood in my small kitchen, surrounded by tension and the clinking of cups, as morning sunlight streamed in. He looked surprised, caught off guard as I laid out the story I'd been told. The air felt heavy with accusation, his eyes flickering, between guilt and confusion. I couldn't help but feel the sting of betrayal again. My voice trembled as I demanded answers, feeling small and hurt amidst the accusation. He started explaining, his voice pleading. I could see the desperation in his eyes, begging for understanding as he struggled to justify his actions. Listening to him, I felt torn between anger and sadness. My heart ached with the weight of unresolved emotions. But there was a spark of something more, maybe hope. Suddenly, a wave of calm washed over me. I whispered softly, asking if he felt any remorse. The quiet, tentative words broke the tension like a warm breeze. The quiet weighed heavily as he finally admitted his guilt. The air seemed to shift, lighter somehow, as he confessed. Our breathing synchronized in the silence. I suggested taking a walk to clear our heads. We stepped out into the bright afternoon, a new chapter of reconciliation unfolding with each step we took. As we walked, the conversation turned to forgotten dreams and faded memories. The warmth of the sun felt comforting, wrapping us in its embrace as we reminisced. Then, out of nowhere, a sudden chill of vulnerability struck. He asked a question that pierced the calm. Could we truly forgive? The question hung in the air. I hesitated, the word forgive swirling around us. The path felt uncertain, but there was a glimpse of possibility. The future seemed malleable in that moment. We sat on a park bench, watching the world move around us. The gentle rustle of leaves painted a hopeful picture, whispering winds urging us toward healing. Time seemed to slow as we talked. I confessed my fears and desires, while he listened, truly listened. There was a softness in his gaze I'd never seen before. His hand grazed mine gently as we both stumbled over apologies, our fingers entwining for the first time since the fallout. A small gesture, but deeply felt. The beginnings of forgiveness were there, evident in shared smiles and quiet laughter. We spoke about plans and the realization that love endured despite pain. With early evening setting, we walked back a little lighter. The sky painted beautiful colours of hope above us, our shared silence speaking volumes as we moved forward. Back home, I brewed some tea, setting it between us as we continued talking. An old warmth lingered, mingling with the rising steam, a promise of renewal. The conversation dipped into past pains and shared joys. The steam curled around us, softening the atmosphere, creating a cocoon of understanding and empathy. Tension faded, replaced by an intricate mesh of connection. I realized I was ready to forgive, a fresh clarity surrounding me as I saw him anew, faults and all. The night fell quietly, stars visible through the window. We sat together, forgiveness slowly bleeding into every word, every glance, fragile but real. In a lovely twist, I suggested finding something we both enjoyed, rekindling shared passions. His eyes lit up, and for a moment, betrayal was just a memory. We found an old movie that once filled our nights with laughter. Watching it again, everything felt lighter, the woes of the past still there, but overshadowed by joy. As the credits rolled, I felt the relief of closure seep in, a sense of turning pages in a saga of forgiveness. The room was filled with calming silence. Later, in the soft glow of a reading lamp, I overheard a gentle apology. There was sincerity in the quiet, the final piece in our path to healing. Those quiet words felt transformative, reshaping my perspective. Forgiveness unfurled like petals, beautiful and delicate, as I looked into his eyes anew. With dawn approaching and fatigue setting in, I recognized the journey we'd embarked upon. Our hands clasped lightly, making peace with the past under night's veil. It dawned on me that forgiveness was not just acceptance, but a chance to rebuild. We stood looking at the horizon, contemplating starting anew amidst the chaos. As the sun warmed us, I found layers of compassion in places I thought impossible to reach. The shadows of hurt were still there, but now edged with light. Together, we walked toward the day, laughter and affection growing in small gestures. I finally felt at home, not in place, but in emotion. A peaceful kind of renewal. We stood on the threshold of forgiveness, holding the possibility of new beginnings. The air felt alive with hope, guiding us forward into a future now shared. I was sitting in my room, anxiety swirling around me like a storm. I felt trapped, unsure about what was coming next as my plans fell apart. I received a message from my friend, offering a weekend getaway in the mountains. It sounded like the perfect escape from the chaos gripping my life. Packing my bags, I felt a tiny spark of excitement. As I folded clothes and zipped up my suitcase, I hoped this trip could be a new beginning. On the road, the rain seemed to wash away my worries. I leaned back in my seat, watching the droplets race down the window, feeling lighter by the mile. Arriving at the cabin felt like stepping into new possibilities. The air was crisp, and I breathed in deeply, letting the fresh mountain scent awaken my senses. Inside, the cabin was warm and welcoming. I sat by the fireplace, listening to the crackling wood, allowing myself to absorb the peace around me. My friend and I decided to hike. As we trudged up the path, the physical effort seemed to exert a cathartic release of my stress. Reaching the summit, the view was breathtaking. Staring at the horizon, engulfed by nature's beauty, I felt a profound sense of renewal and hope for anew. Back at the cabin, I found myself reflecting on my life choices. I realized I'd been stuck in fear, preventing me from seizing potential opportunities. Suddenly, as I sat there, I heard a knock at the door. I felt a flutter of anticipation, wondering what new adventure awaited behind that door. Opening the door, I saw an old acquaintance. Our past was complicated, but the look in their eyes suggested change. We greeted each other tentatively. As we talked, the air between us shifted from awkward to warm. I noticed a genuine smile on their face, kindling a newfound optimism within me. During our conversation, a longing to break free and embrace new experiences stirred inside me. I felt ready to explore opportunities without fear. We decided to venture out together. Walking in the woods, I felt surrounded by a sense of camaraderie and thrilling emergence from isolation. The conversations flowed easily between us. I felt a resolute strength growing inside me, my spirits renewed. The possibilities felt endless. Sitting under the stars that night, every twinkle felt like a reminder of hope. I breathed deeply, embracing this newfound perspective willingly. The next morning, I packed my bags, full of renewed confidence. As I prepared to leave the cabin, a smile transformed my face with clarity and resolve. Driving home, I reflected on the journey. I was equipped with tools to handle whatever lay ahead, invigorated by the sense of inner liberation. Once at home, the familiar surroundings didn't feel as confining anymore. I moved around my living room, grateful for the change that stirred within me. I opened my laptop, ready to resume my work with renewed energy. I felt the promise of starting afresh, eager to see where this path led me. Suddenly, I heard a song from my playlist that felt like destiny. The lyrics resonated with my renewed spirit, stirring emotions that I was ready to embrace. As the day unfolded, I felt driven to share my experience. I wrote about my journey, hoping my words could inspire someone else to seize their own renewal. Later, a friend's message popped up inviting me out. This time, I accepted eagerly, charged with enthusiasm rather than apprehension. Getting ready, I chose an outfit that reflected my newfound confidence. Glancing in the mirror, I saw a version of myself that I truly embraced. Stepping outside, the evening air was crisp and filled with promise. I walked towards the street, feeling a sense of liberation and excitement. The night out was invigorating. I found joy in every interaction, laughing freely and connecting genuinely with others. Returning home, I felt alive, as though the door to endless possibilities had swung open, ready to embrace change with gratitude and courage. Lying in bed, I felt a calm certainty about my future. This trip changed me. I knew now that my spirit was fueled by resilience and hope. As dawn broke and sunlight filtered in, I embraced a new day with gratitude. I felt equipped to take on the world with renewed energy. With each passing day, my spirit grew sharper, grounded in self-belief and courage, ready to face challenges head-on, fueled by my journey towards renewal.